Attorney for the District of Maryland. If you commit a violent crime in this city, we will be on your trail, and when we find you, you will be held accountable. This is the federal system. There are no suspended sentences, and there is no parole. 21-year-old Rashaud Nesmith was just sentenced to 40 years in federal prison, almost twice his lifetime, for his participation in 2 violent criminal organizations operating throughout Baltimore. Nesmith participated in a carjacking, 2 armed robberies, and an attempted robbery, resulting in 2 victims being shot and killed and 1 victim being shot and critically injured. Nesmith also knew that his co-conspirators would commit other violent acts. Nesmith was also a participant in the violent CCC gang. The investigation and prosecution in that case is ongoing, so we will not be discussing it today. While this sentence cannot remove the pain and suffering caused by Nesmith's actions, hopefully it will bring his victims and their families some measure of peace. Pardon me. I want to acknowledge our law enforcement partners, and we are grateful to our law enforcement partners, especially the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and the Baltimore City Police Department, who conducted this investigation and brought Nesmith to justice. Mr. Nesmith and defendants like him had other options. We are committed to reaching out to the community to increase awareness of services available to at-risk youth, and we are actively hosting events for returning citizens. We must do everything we can to help young people turn away from violent crime so that they can avoid the result here today. But we will not tolerate violence in our neighborhoods. We will not be held captive by violent criminals. We will protect our city. The U.S. Attorney's Office and our law enforcement partners will hold individuals responsible for their crimes. Make another choice. Don't become our next customer. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Tony Crosby, Special Agent in charge of the ATF.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Barron. Today marks a significant moment in bringing to justice a group of criminals responsible for dozens of acts of violence in Baltimore. Rashaud Nesmith and his co-conspirators participated in murders, non-fatal shootings, carjackings, armed robberies, and more. Their victims were innocent, simply going about their lives in the city and attacked without provocation. Nesmith and his co-conspirators saw them not as people, but as targets of opportunity to further a callous criminal lifestyle. Now he will spend decades in prison for it. For the families who lost loved ones and the surviving victims who are still healing, we hope that today's sentencing provides some closure and a sense of justice. We can never erase what happened, but we can identify, investigate, and incarcerate those responsible so victims can begin to move on with their lives. By applying the crime gun intelligence model of investigating, special agents and Baltimore task force officers from ATF's crime gun enforcement team worked relentlessly on this case. Firearms tracing, ballistic forensics, and partnership between our agencies were the key component in putting an end to this rampant, brazen violence caused by this criminal conspiracy. Together, we will continue to do everything in our power to remove violent offenders from Baltimore streets. Now I'd like to introduce Baltimore Police Department Deputy Commissioner Richard Worley.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As you heard, today's announcement is an example of the results that you can get when all your federal, state, and local law enforcement partners work together. I would like to extend special thanks to U.S. Attorney Eric Barron and Special Agent in Charge Tony Crosby of ATF. Additionally, I applaud the men and women of the BPD, our task force officers, ATF agents who all work together in the crime gun enforcement team. It is through partnerships like this that we're able to continuously make arrests and remove violent offenders from the streets of Baltimore. In this particular case, this convicted suspect will now serve 40 years for racketeering, conspiracy, including murder and attempted murder. This is someone, along with his associates, engaged in a pattern of criminal racketeering activity that resulted in numerous murders, non-fatal shootings, robberies, and carjackings. These criminal organizations were extremely organized, ruthless, and wreaked havoc in our communities for months. They were so malicious that they were known to critique one another's activities to find ways to improve upon their craft. The behavior cannot be permitted to thrive. We must break the culture of violence in the city. I'm here to tell you that those who commit these violent acts will be caught, they will be held accountable, and they will be prosecuted. Today, justice has been served. My thoughts are with the family of the loved ones who were victims of these criminals. Together, we will use every available tool, special initiatives, community relationships, and continued partnerships in our goals to improving the quality of life for everyone, creating a safer Baltimore for all. Thank you.
We could try to answer some questions. I'll probably defer to our law enforcement partners if there are any.
Can you just talk with, he's 21.
Right.
And we're talking about others supposedly who are about the same age. Just to understand and to look into that situation, that basically this has been, the crimes have been committed by a 21-year-old, and now what he's facing.
I mean, all I can say is it's a shame. It's a shame to come out of this courthouse and sentence somebody to decades longer than they've been alive. It's a shame that we have somebody so young committing so many cruel acts of violence throughout this city. It's a shame that we have to come to this, but it's necessary. And this office and our partners will do everything possible, by any legal means possible, to take individuals like him, even as young as he is, off our streets. Public safety is our first priority as an office and with our partners. But like I said, there are other choices, and our office is actively involved in those other choices. The past 2 months, we've hosted no less than 3 re-entry fairs. We're going to be out in the community on the community walk this Wednesday. We're in more schools than ever as an office. As a federal prosecutor's office, we are in more schools than ever, volunteering and reiterating the importance of mentorship, of anti-gangs, of resolving your problems without violence. But when it comes to it, when there is violence, we stand ready and willing to investigate and prosecute and advocate for a stiff sentence.
Perhaps this is a question for the Deputy Commissioner, but is there a way to quantify the breadth of these crimes and kind of where we would be without the federal resources that were applicated in this case as well?
We would probably still be chasing down leads and trying to apprehend the criminals. Without the support of all of our federal, state, local law enforcement partners, we wouldn't have been able to close this as quickly as we did, and we wouldn't be able to link all the criminals together that we did. So without them, we would probably still be looking at patterns and trying to arrest offenders one at a time.
We have 2 quick questions for you about the overall crackdown on crime in Baltimore. Obviously, Baltimore City will be getting a new top prosecutor very soon. Do you think that Ivan Bates leading the city's attorney's office will help curb violent crimes like these?
I think we are doing more than ever, and we will continue to work with all of our state and local partners, including the state's attorney's office.
So do you think that leadership will have an impact?
I'm looking forward to working with new leadership, old leadership, and anybody who in this city and outside the city is ready and willing to work as a team to get violent crime under control.
Just lastly, you've taken what you've called a series of exceptional actions to curb crime in Baltimore. Have you spoken to Bates about his process, and do you expect him to
I've had many conversations with the state's attorney-elect, Ivan Vates, and I look forward to having many more. Our offices will continue to work very closely with one another.